It was a beautiful day in Rapid City, South Dakota. The sun was shining. 5 little tourists had arrived the night before and were looking for an adventure. They decided to go to that famous landmark, Mount Rushmore. And they traversed up to Mount Rushmore. The sun beat down. The swells of tourists crowded but not discomforted our fearless tourists. They saw the great sights. They saw the 4 presidents. It was quite a beautiful morning. Little did they know that in their very near future, all hail would break loose. As our heroes proceeded to their lunch down in a little town near Mount Rushmore, the clouds were gathering in the back, but nothing that would worry them. They did a touristy old-time photo. They had lunch at a nice little tourist Old West type of restaurant with sarsaparillas and other kind of novel drinks and meals. And when they left that restaurant, there was still no hint of anything bad to come. The sun was shining, and they proceeded back into the Black Hills. Now, for those of you who know the mountains, you'll know that you can see a ways, and in those mountains, you can see clouds and rain. Our heroes drove into the mountains. They saw rain in the distance. And the first thing that Father said was, "Oh good, it hasn't rained on my car in 2 weeks. I need a little washing." So they proceeded up the hill. And it did start to sprinkle. It was a beautiful little sprinkle. It was just misting the windshield. And Father thought to himself, oh, maybe if it would just rain a little bit harder, I could get a good wash. Well, it did rain a little bit harder. And very suddenly, it rained even harder and harder and harder. Within the space of about 2 minutes, it went from a sprinkle to an absolute downpour. Now, I've driven in hard weather before. I grew up in Iowa. We know how to have rain there. So I drove along quite confidently that I could handle even the worst situation. Looked up in front of me and the cars were pulling over. The rain? Oh, come on. So I pulled over and kicked my lights on, kicked up the windshield wipers, thought that was silly. Pulled back into traffic, and about this time, a little piece of hail came down. I noted to myself, kind of a big piece of hail. Nothing big, nothing huge. Can handle this. So we drove on a little farther. And that rain, which had been going harder and harder and harder, suddenly decided to freeze up and come down in little chunks. Boom, 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 boom. And at this point, I get a little bit worried. Driving. Kids are kind of wondering what's going on. Wife sitting next to me. Eric, this isn't looking so good. Yeah, kind of scary. And about this time, now, I kid you not, I don't know how many of you are familiar with guns. I'm not terribly. But I do know one thing about guns, and they're really, really loud. And about this time, somebody, and if you're a religious person, maybe you're thinking God's got a shotgun up there and he's pulling the trigger because it's coming in hard, and there was a boom! Right on the roof of the van, and I'll tell you, I jumped, the kids screamed. Melissa and I looked at each other and thought, what's going on? Boom! It's broken loose. I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing golf balls out there. Okay. I'm scared at this point because I know hail. We have hail here. I've seen hail, but I've never seen golf ball sized hail. I've never been in golf ball sized hail before. Boom, 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 boom. It's all around us. It's starting to pile up. And I'm thinking to myself, this isn't so good. All of a sudden, boom! And that little tiny dent in the windshield splits, just like that, right in front of my eyes. My son looks at it, Dad! And about this time, too, I look over, and there's some people standing outside. What are they doing? They're looking at their back windshield. But there is no back windshield. It's gone. It's completely and utterly smashed. We drive a few more cars. Another one. Gone. No back windshield. We drive up a little bit farther. Another one. Another one. A jackknife semi right over there next to us. And the piece de resistance, we drive by this guy. Little tiny car. No back windshield. No front windshield. And a giant dog sitting in his lap, terrified, along with the driver, who had a look on his face like, God! At this point, we have to get out of here. So I step on the accelerator, thinking, and we drove as fast and as hard as we could, past the flashing lights, past dozens of windshields which were holes, which were gone, and people scratching their heads not knowing what to do. We drove as hard as we could, down out of the Black Hills and into the safety of our hotel, where there was no power. I'm shaking. I asked the guy at this point, what's going on? And of course, being a native South Dakotan, he says to me, Eric, don't worry. The company across the street cut the power line to our hotel. This happens all the time. Golf ball sized hail? No. It wasn't golf ball sized hail. In the newspaper the next day, there was a picture of a hand with a baseball sized chunk in the hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you never get caught with that kind of hail. But if you do, think of us and know that you too can survive when all hail breaks loose.
We're trying to avoid baseball-sized hail. I will ask for 1 minute for comments, please. Thank you, Timer. Well, without further ado, I will turn it over to the exciting portion of our program. That would be Table Topics. And I give you our illustrious Table Topics master for today, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. President.